or wealth, she still comes 6 years, 6 years later, she's still coming to class. So Ratnakar questions himself and he breaks apart, but then he becomes much stronger, doesn't he? He becomes Valmiki. He becomes a source of strength for all of us, millennia later. Then we shift to episode 4, which was about Ashtavakra. Good. And one of my favorite scenes in Upanishad Ganga comes here, related to Holi. So he walks into Raja Janaka's court. And Raja Janaka is famous for only having satsang in his court. Unlike many other kings who have dancers and feasts and so on, his was about satsang. And the people in that satsang, some of them started laughing when they saw Ashtavakra. Ashta means 8, Vakra means curve, like Vakratunda, like Bhagavan Ganesha. So they started laughing. And Ashtavakra starts laughing louder then. And Raja Janaka says, this is our satsang, why are you laughing even more loudly? And he says, because I thought that this was an assembly of sages. And he goes, it is. Then why are they laughing at God's creation? Who made Ashtavakra the way he is? Wasn't it the Creator? So who are they really laughing at? They're laughing at the Creator who made him or her. Same goes with us. When we're racist, when we're sexist, whatever it may be, who are we really discriminating against? That person or the person who made that person? Did anyone in this room choose their skin color? In India we try to change it with Fair and Lovely, but does it really work? Michael Jackson tried to change his skin color. Did it really work? Right? It doesn't. Did we choose our gender as well? That's a sad state that some parents try to choose the gender of their children. This is all the Creator's creation. And so in Ashtavakra's case, he encourages all of the people in that assembly to use the Shastra as a Shastra and not as a Shastra. Shastra means weapon. Shastra means scripture. Because the person he's debating with used it as a weapon. And he goes in there and defeats him and practices forgiveness. That, hey, this is how the scripture is to be used. And in many cases we see people who use religion as a weapon to divide people rather than to unite people. Well, we just studied what Holi is about bringing people together. So in episode 4, the emphasis is know the role of the scripture. The episode is called Vishwal Kalyan, universal welfare. And then in 5 and 6, who is a personality we studied? Darashiko. And we studied about Dharma. Dharma means that which integrates. What is it that causes the disintegration of our personality? Irresponsibility. When you and I have responsibilities, we are integrated. When we don't have responsibilities, disintegrated. Think about Monday to Thursday. Fridays, our mind is slowly disintegrates. Monday to Thursday, integrated. Wake up on time, eat on time, go to the gym, etc., etc., etc. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, we build it up again, then it goes back into disintegration. Because there's responsibilities. When there's no responsibilities, there's no integration. That's why Dharma, we have many words for Dharma, duty, integration, righteousness. I like the word responsibility. Engage in your responsibility. Why? Because it will integrate you. If one doesn't, adharma, then it causes disintegration. So the scriptures teach us about dharma. And it doesn't matter what gender or religion or income. Darashiko is what? He's a follower, he's Muslim. But here he is translating the Vedas into Persian. Because he knows that responsibility has no separation. Does an African mother have a different responsibility than an American mother? Is a Korean brother different than a Japanese brother? See? Often people ask me to give them tips on practical Vedanta. You know who the mindset that asks this question? Someone who doesn't want to practice Vedanta. They're waiting for me to say something because already in their mind they've made up that I don't want to practice what I've heard. So they're waiting for me to validate their lack of practice. So I just don't answer the question. What is more practical than what we're studying? How to make the mind stronger. Whenever we come up with excuses to not be responsible, it's causing our disintegration. We have to find ways to make our responsibilities happen, not to not make them happen. So this was the emphasis of episode 5 and 6, Dharma. So we've gone through the first 6 episodes, and now we will study 7 next week. But there are some questions that were shared by all of you that perhaps were unresolved. So I'll share some thoughts on that, and if we have time at the end, then you can ask some more questions if you have any. Number 1, on fear. One should have healthy fear, isn't it? So let's take a vote. How many of you feel that we need not physical fear? We all know that physical fear is necessary. How many of you feel that we need mental fear in our lives? By a show of hands. How many of you believe we don't need mental fear in our lives? By a show of hands. How many of you are sleeping right now or on your way to sleep right now? Someone had once asked me, doesn't fear lead to our safety? Okay. When I'm afraid, suppose I'm afraid of you, then I'm more cautious about where I sit, where I keep my bag and coat and so on. Like when we go to a foreign country. Aren't you more careful when you drive in Canada? Aren't you more careful when you leave Pennsylvania, even, to go to Ohio or to West Virginia or wherever? And you're least careful in Pittsburgh itself, and even less careful in your neighborhood. But as soon as we move away from what is home to us, we become more careful. But there's always a weight on our shoulder. There's always a weight in our mind whenever there's fear. I never totally physically relax. I never mentally feel totally at ease. That's why in Vedanta there's a powerful statement, Advaita Abhayam, that only in oneness is there no fear. Even if there's one other party, one's child even, there is an element of fear, an element of being judged or judging another person. You can't dress the way you want to if there's someone else at your home, right? But it's just you. You can dress the way you want. You can eat the way you want. You can make whatever noises you want. But even if another person's there, there's that element of fear. And remember that fear is inhibiting me from being me. So that's the careful